what do we know about what has taken place down there?
The interconnectedness of what's going on here. So we have to start off with BP, British Petroleum, of course, who's a direct subsidiary of the Rothschilds. Mm-hmm. Now, they leased this rig, Deepwater Horizon, from a company called Transocean, who then also subcontracted to do the undersea work to Halliburton, okay? Transocean is a subsidiary of a company called Sonat Incorporated, whose CEO they hired away from Halliburton. And what I'm trying to do is fit all these pieces together, okay? Now, this Sonat company merged with another company called El Paso Corporation, whose prior CEO, a guy named Ronald Kuhn, came from Sonat. And the previous CEO, a guy named William Weiss, served with Dick Cheney. And Dick Cheney, of course, is the former CEO of Halliburton. So we come full circle here with this BP, Transocean, Halliburton connection. Now, my thinking on the reason why this happened down in the Gulf all comes back to one main thing, and it's Barack Obama's cap-and-trade legislation, that he wants to put in this carbon trading system, which sources say will eventually, if passed, generate about a $10 trillion a year market. And at the center of all this is a company called CCX. So what we have here, first of all, is if we go back to Chicago, we have something called the Joyce Foundation, which John Ayers, who's the brother of William Ayers, served on the board, as did somebody else, then Senator Barack Obama, okay? So this Joyce Foundation then created the Chicago Climate Exchange, which was funded by a man named Franklin Raines, who used to be the director of Fannie Mae. Now, Fannie Mae, of course, was primarily responsible for the housing collapse that we see right now. So the owners then of this Chicago Climate Exchange, one of them is a company called Generation Investment Management, whose chairman is Al Gore. Okay, the other founders are Henry Paulson, David Blood, Mark Ferguson, and Peter Harris, all who served on Goldman Sachs board, and they also purchased 10% of CCX, okay? And then another one of the CCX board directors is a guy named Maurice Strong, who I'm sure everybody out there knows, who has direct ties to the Rockefellers and Rothschilds. Mm-hmm. And if we now go to Goldman Sachs, who keeps popping up on all this, their non-executive chairman is a guy named Peter Sutherland, who was the former chairman of British Petroleum. Right. Now, British Petroleum then had four men, John Brown, Carl Hendricks Vonberg, Tony Hayward, and Peter Sutherland, who are all Bilderberg members. So if we bring this all now back full circle, the top recipient of campaign donations from British Petroleum during the 2008 election was Barack Obama, and the second highest political action committee to make contributions during that same election was Goldman Sachs, giving this money to Barack Obama. So the whole thing, in my view, revolves around this hoax of global warming. And M. Rothschilds in 2007 said that political leaders need to address global climate crisis with a single voice and impose rules that apply worldwide. And another guy, David Rothschild, said at the Copenhagen summit last year that was more about global governance rather than global warming. So what we see really at the center of all this is this need, just like with health care, to shove this cap-and-trade legislation down our throats. And since interest in it was waning, then this catastrophe, this sabotage down in the Gulf, is what ultimately I believe is going to lead to that.
You just used the word sabotage. So you believe that this thing was deliberate, that this was not an accident. You believe that this thing was deliberately done.
Oh, I absolutely believe so, and this wasn't incompetence or an accident. This was direct sabotage, and what we're seeing right now is this catastrophe that really has global ramifications.